Okay, we have quite a few. And then, all right. Then, how many of you have heard about Google AI Studio? Is this your first time hearing about it? Okay, Malcolm, Robert, Joy. Then, how many of you are excited for that session? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So now that I know my audience, we can kick off with the definitions of the two things that Google AI offers. So for the new people, after going through this, you'll be able to see what we are talking about. But for those who have also gone through Google AI Studio, you might be having an idea. So Google AI Studio recently had a different logo. This is their new logo up here. So they updated it a bit after the Google I/O, and some of the things they changed were its logo, and they added also Gemini 4 to it. So Google AI Studio has two things in it. It has the playground, and it also has the build part. So in the build part, that's where you can build your projects, that's where you can demo them. Then in the restaurant, I called it the restaurant, that's the playground where you can chat. So it's more than just a chat bot. You can train your agents there. I know to some point it might be sounding like jargon, but you're going to get it after. You can train your agents there. You can try out different things. Maybe if you have a website and you want to add AI in it, you can go to that playground and try it out. So yeah, that's basically it. It's the difference between the build and the playground. So what does the playground offer? In the playground, you can find the model selector. Here you can select different models given what you're building. So if you're building a chatbot, you can select Gemini. If you're building, let me say, an image generation agent, you can choose Nano Banana. That's Google's AI model for image generation. Then you can also, anyway, let me not just talk about this. Let me just show you the screen so that you can have an idea of what we are talking about. Okay, so just go to your browser and search for Google AI Studio. Those following along, you can do that. So that's what I did. I just went and searched for Google AI Studio. Let me just do it from the beginning so that it's a Google product, so obviously they'll put it up at the top and you'll be able to see it. So this has brought me to the logo, but I can just select. This is how you just go to Google AI Studio. Then the first thing you're going to be taken to is the playground. So this is what we have been talking about. The playground is where you can try out different things. Now let me say you're working on a project, you want a specified agent for your project, you can come and build it here. Then I'll show you how you can transfer it to your specific repository, those who have interacted with coding. Anyway, before I even go far, are there people that have used Git before, whereby Git is not sounding new to you? Okay, perfect. So are there people who have not heard about it? Like, I don't assume that everyone here is a developer, so are there people who have never heard about GitHub? You've never coded? Before we proceed further, okay, since there are none, so I will assume that at least everyone has heard about GitHub. Yes, Atrinda. Okay, I guess you didn't have a question, but so I'll just proceed assuming that everyone has heard about GitHub. You know how to transfer code. Yes, I'll assume that. So in the playground, we have so the first thing you will see, we have Google AI models. We have Google AI models. We have featured. We have quote and chat. We have image generation. We have video generation. We have speech and music. So what these do? Let me just click on speech and music. If you want to build, let me say you like Spotify, and you want to build something similar to Spotify. Let me see. Okay, you've never heard about GitHub. Well, it's your lucky day. You're going to hear about it today. So just give me a couple of is everyone experiencing the same issue? Can't you see my screen? Benji, could you confirm?
Well, I can see your screen. I think maybe it's an interpretation here. Then
Maybe Eunice, you can reload the window. Yes, so like I was saying, if maybe you've seen Spotify and you want to experiment, you want to build a hobby project and test out to see whether you can build your own version of Spotify, and you want to start with AI, you don't want to start from scratch because Spotify has a whole base of its own. So you can come here to speech and music, then you choose the model that you want to choose, but you have to be careful. Some of them have new, some of them have paid. So when you're choosing, you first look through which model can I try out that is free. So I basically like to choose the new ones because they be wanting to try them out, and they're very generous with the credits because they're new, they want to try out their models. So here, since it's already a pre-built agent, by pre-built I mean someone already described it, fine-tuned it, so it's just there for you to use. How you can transfer it to your projects, you can come here in the corner. So here we have playground, we have run settings, we have get code. You can come here to get code. So when you get code, you can choose how do you want to copy this code. Do you want to copy it as JavaScript, as TypeScript, as Python, or you can view the different libraries that they offer. Normally, when it comes to AI, Python is the language that we normally use. So it's best that you copy that agent with Python. Then when you go to add it to your project, all you will need is an API key. So normally people don't normally connect very well with the playground. So I'll just do a quick demo because it may be boring for especially the new people. So I'll just run through it a bit and we proceed. So I don't want to use the pre-built things. And I don't want to build a model from scratch. I want to build an agent. I'm going to come here and choose my model. So in this side you have your settings, like in the slides as it was breaking them down. You have your settings here. So let me reload so that my window is empty here down. Okay, so it's fresh. These are still here. So I'm going to come here to anti-gravity preview. Right now they have chosen for me an agent that is pre-built, but I don't want to use that. I'm going to go to Gemini and I say let me use Gemini Flash. So that's the model I want to use. Then I'm going to come to my system instructions. So system instructions is where you describe the persona of your agent. By persona I mean the personality of your agent. Maybe now for the business students, let me say let me put it in the aspect of marketing. You want to build your own agent so that each time a client comes to you, you have this agent that knows your workflow. So when a client comes to me, I have to ask them about what they want me to market. I have to brainstorm on the content. I have to brainstorm on how I'm going to market for them. I have to understand their business structure. So you can build an agent around that area. So let me just say I'm going to build a marketing agent. So you can go to Gemini and tell it and describe it in normal language, and I mean in plain English, what you want to build, and through that it can give you a prompt of your system instructions that you can use in Google AI Studio. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Gemini and I'm going to tell it, let me see if you can see my screen. Okay, you can. So I'm going to tell Gemini, it's still loading, but let me just text hello and tell it hello, I'm building a business marketing agent for my clients. So I'm establishing a brand. So I'm going to put myself as a marketing specialist. I'm establishing a brand and I want forgive my English, it will autocorrect. I want to I'm establishing a brand as a marketing specialist, and I want to integrate an agent in my website. So assuming you already have a portfolio in my website, I want the agent to master my workflow. My workflow. So when a client comes, it's going to be a lot of writing, but let's go. When a client comes, I ask them about their project. We go into a conversation. I get to understand them, and then brainstorm on ideas. Let me just check. Any questions? Yeah, you can speak.
Good evening, everyone. Could you help share your prompt if you don't mind?
Okay. Mute. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so I didn't complete the prompt. It was a lot of writing, but it's going to cook for me. So I'm going to share. So this is the prompt. This is the prompt it has given me. Let me paste it in the chat, those who want to try out with me. That's it. So I'm going to go to my Google AI Studio now. Just make this big. So I'm going to go to my Google AI Studio, this side, and I'm going to paste the persona here. So it has said you're an AI marketing assistant, your agency. So I have to name my brand. What am I going to name it? Okay, let me name it Kiran Markets. That's cliche, but okay. So I'm going to save it. So one more thing, before you continue with anything, before even you proceed this side, make sure you always save your project, because if you don't save and reload, since it's a playground, it will not keep for you what you've not saved. So if you've not saved like your brand and stuff, it won't. If it's still untitled here up where there was the word playground, if it's still untitled and you reload maybe your screen, you will lose everything. But if you rename it, you will maintain history, and you will find your history here. So since I've renamed it, my history, you can see it here, market brand. So I'm going to go to thinking capacity. I want it to think like a marketing specialist, so I need a lot of thinking capacity. Then structured prompts, I'm going to skip all this because we don't need them. I do need it to use Google search, so I'm going to leave that functionality there so that it's embedded. Then I'm going to leave URL context. It means that if maybe a client comes to me and they have a website and they have their maybe a link to their website, I can come to my agent, give it that website, and it will be able to access the website, but this is the functionality that gives it that capacity. So I want to go into the other details. I think I'll leave them at default, and I'm going to go ahead and prompt. I'm going to say hello. Okay, for the aspect of time, let me ask Gemini to give me a sample example I can give the agent. This is not good, you have to think, but yeah, help me with the sample example I can use for the agent. test it out. It's better to like fine tune it on your own. So you would tell it, hello, I have a client. He runs a boutique. He runs a boutique. He needs a marketing strategy to grow his audience on his socials. Help me on this. So let me see. Run. Let me see how to respond. So in the playground, since it's a playground and you're trying to build an agent, you can see how the AI thought. So you can see, okay, I'm focusing on the user's goal. So you can see it first defined the objective, then it explained its role, then it started formulating a greeting. So then it came, hello, Kiran Markets, helping a boutique brand scale their social media presence and turn followers into local customers. Is right up our alley. To help me tailor the best ideas for your customers, let me ask a few questions. So it's trying to brainstorm with me. It's trying to have a conversation with me, trying to collect the requirements I got from the client. So after fine tuning and continuing a conversation with this agent, and I get its perfect form. Yes. Okay. And I get its perfect form, I can come here to code. So still, if you're like a vibe coder, you don't know you've never interacted with code, you can just get this prompt the way it is and copy it. This is now for vibe coders. You can come now to Gemini and tell it, hello, I've got my agent. Help me draft it in a better way for my website. Then you paste it here. Or if maybe you already have your IDE you're using, that is your coding editor. So coding editors, we have coding editors like Visual Studio. We have AI coding editors. Those are now agentic editors like Casa, Anti-Gravity, Kiro. There are so many to mention but a few. So for me, I normally like to use Casa. Okay, I normally like to use Casa. So now that we have this agent, since we started with a branding, with a marketing branding strategy, I had prepared something different for the demo, but I think let's continue with that for the build session. So since now you've seen how the playground looks like, let's proceed back to the slides and we explore more of its features. So I talked about the parameters. The parameters were the things on the side that I was toggling. That is the system instructions. You saw the functionalities. I chose to go with ground search. That means enabling Google AI. I mean Google search within my agent. Then for structured prompts, I neglected that because this is basically nice for repetitive tasks. Now let me say for tasks that don't need reasoning. If you're maybe running a restaurant and you're a customer service person, those are repetitive tasks, at least the day won't end with someone not calling and complaining about their order or telling you that my order is delayed. So those are repetitive things that you have to reply to. So what you can do is you can build out a voice agent for your restaurant, and it can reply in structured prompts. Where it fails, then you come in as a human, like you see how MTN works. But for MTN, they still use structured prompts, but in a kind of a different way. But I want to give that example whereby you dial, when you want customer service from MTN, you dial your USSD, and the first thing you're going to hear is an agent, which is not a human. Yeah. So now going back to speaking about system instructions. So we have talked about system instructions. We have talked about how they are personas, their personalities for your agent. So they dictate what the agent is going to do for you, what you've built it to do. And it can also dictate what kind of model you want to build. So as you saw in Google AI Studio, there were two tabs. There was agent and there was also model. So if you wanted to build a model, you can fine tune it from there in Google AI Studio Playground. Or if you wanted to build for the model part, you just get the code, but you will do more than that. If you want to just build an agent, you already have the AI, you just fine tune it to do what you want. You go for the agent route, which we did. So in the settings on the side, there is something called temperature. So temperature determines how random the AI is going to reply you. So if maybe like now for my agent that I was building, I don't want it to be so random. I don't want its thinking capacity to just pick ideas out of nowhere. Imagine you're my client and you come to me, you've asked me for a branding strategy, and I'm just speaking of things that don't even connect of what you've asked me to do. So when you're building your AI agents, you have to think about you as a person. How would you reply? And as the client, if you reply to them this way, how would they react? Because you're building the agent to be in your place, to be the first interaction the person interacts with. You don't want the person to be biased. So when you're thinking, when you're building the agent, you have to fine tune it to think like you, the person, so that when the human ends up, when the client ends up coming to you, to like when you come in the loop after the agent has done its work, it has collected the requirements, now you come in the loop as the person to talk to your client. It doesn't differ so much because the agent has taken up your personality. So so enough with that boring stuff. Let's go to the building that people get mostly excited about. So you don't need to be a computer science student, or you don't need to be in tech to use AI tools. That's the beauty about AI. Anyone can use them. You just need to know your English. You just need to know your fundamentals. Like fundamentals is just how do I prompt it, and even prompting, Gemini has solved it for you. Gemini can help you prompt the AI that you want to build for. So that's one quote I want to share before we go into the building. So for my specific building session, I wanted to build a gigs game, but for that, let me just scrap all this off, and we go with the branding specialist that we have already hit up with. So I'm going to present my screen again, and we go back to this side. So I already gave you the prompt in the chat. We are going to continue with that prompt. Those that didn't have the prompt, let me just copy it and repaste it. For guys that have just joined us, let me paste this prompt. So that's the prompt. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I already have this agent here. I have its code here. So remember our chat with Google, it has already optimized for me my agent here. So I'm going to tell it, good, now we have the agent. Let's build the website with Google AI Studio. Then later I'll give it my agent to integrate it. Then later I will give it my agent to integrate. So if you're following along, you can still go to your Gemini and prompt it the same way. So you can see Gemini is now telling me building your site. Building your site is a great choice. It lets you generate. Okay, so let me edit and tell it my brand is Kiran Markets. So my brand is Kiran Markets, so that it gives me a prompt when it has my brand in mind, and I want to follow a good professional theme. Use colors. I normally like to describe my theme when I'm prompting these things. Use colors blue and white. A theme, I mean the colors of your website. you need to, the colors of your site have to be consistent, first of all, for a good user experience. So as a UX designer that I am, I like to also describe the theme of my websites. So why is it giving me code? So let me tell it. Let me re-edit. Oh, you can only edit once. So I don't want code, but rather a prompt to use in Google AI Studio, and also system instructions. So system instructions you used for your agent are different from the system instructions you're going to use for your websites, because there is an agent, its personality is different for the building of my website. So let's see. Here is a complete prompt. So part 1, system instructions. So it has given me system instructions. So we are going to go here. So now that we have our agent, it is saved. We can now go away from it. I want you to go on the side, this side. So you see Go AI Studio, Playground, History, Build. Now in the Explorer, that's where Playground is. That is now our restaurant. Now we are going to the kitchen, and that is the build part. So I'm going to come here to New App, and I'm going to select it. So when you select it, it's going to open for you a window like this, and you're going to start building your app. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here in the corner. So you have your sidebar, you have your settings here, but I'm going to go in this corner and click that. So just like you saw the settings in the Playground, it's almost a little bit the same. So I'm going to leave it at Gemini Flash, because Flash is relatively good for UI. I'm going to select my frameworks. I'm going to just leave it at React. Sometimes you don't need to know these things. You can just go with the default. Are there any questions? I heard as if someone has unmuted. Okay, so let me proceed. So like I was saying, you don't need to know the frameworks. It's good to have some basic knowledge, but if you're like vibe coding, you just want to come up with an idea, you don't need to know this. So as a beginner, I'll just recommend you stick with React, because most AI tools are good with React. So this was my former system prompt for my project. For each project, you can choose to give each project its own personality, or you can leave your system instructions blank and let the AI think for you. But the bad thing with that is that you end up not getting what you want really from your design. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste my system prompt. I'm not going to read through so much. I'll just leave it at that. Then I'm going to come this side. So it's telling me you said you're on free credits and you're currently in the free credits tier. So which means the model I've chosen is not paid, it is free, which is a good thing. You always have to check those things, especially if your card is already connected to your Google account. So the microphone, I'm going to leave it at that, since we don't need microphone functionality really. And I'm going to close my system instructions. So anyone lost on that part before we go further? Step-by-step guide might be a bit hard to share. That's why we are going through step by step. If there's anything I've missed or been fast at, you can ask before we proceed. Honest? And do you have any questions before we proceed? Okay. So guys, are there any questions before we go further? Anyone lost anywhere? Okay, since there are none, I've pasted the system prompt in the chat. So now that we have the system prompt, let's go ahead and get the website prompt. So here we are. I'm going to go back to my Gemini, and I'm going to get the website prompt. So it has given me my prompts in versions, which is a good thing. If I give it a big prompt, it is going to take long to give me something. So this is the first prompt. I'm going to copy it as it is, and I'm going to give it to my AI. So I'm going to come back here to build to Google AI Studio, and I'm going to paste it there. So I can also paste it for you in the chat so that you follow along. After doing that, you can choose to integrate something here before you continue. So you can choose to add Google AI Studio. These are also pre-built. You can choose to add any functionality that you want to add, but for now, let's proceed with this. So I'm going to press my build control, and then the interface is going to change also, because it will want to show me what it's building. So as it's loading, now it's building. So don't be quick to just allow it to continue. It's going to show you here designs that it can consider. So I've given it my first prompt. It's asking me for feedback, not yet. So it's running right now. Here is section. So it's going to ask me, what kind of design do you want? You can skip this and it automatically picks something, or you can explore. So it has given me suggestions. There is the high density, there is the bold, there is the professional polish, there is the frosted glass, which is not bad. Okay, there is the silk interface. So you get to choose what kind of design are you going for. I'm going to go for the professional polish, since I said I want to look like a professional. So as it's building, allow me to give you the prompt that I've used. So this is the prompt that I've put for my first bunch, and it's building. Let me also give you the second prompt, since I'm having a little bit of slow network. Yours might build faster than mine, so let me also give you the second prompt. And there it is. So prompt it at least twice, so that you don't give it a lot of things at once. Okay, so it's telling me it's building. So as it's building, the person who said they've never interacted with GitHub, let me show you. So just go to your Google, your Chrome, search for GitHub. All right, I just want stop. I just want to search for GitHub. Okay, so you will be taken to github.com. So github.com, first of all, GitHub is a place where you can host your project. So for developers, you can either code your project first locally on your laptop, then you push it to GitHub, or you can first create a repository immediately from GitHub, then just pull from GitHub to your local IDE and code from there. So how GitHub works is that you can create an account, but since I already have an account, I'm just going to continue. It's pretty easy to create an account. You can continue with Google, Apple, or you can just directly create one. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Cancel. Okay. Login. Wow. Let me first put that in. Authenticator up. As I'm looking for that, you can see how the building is going. So I have gotten the codes. Let me write 145855. Oof, that's wrong. 145845. This is not a password, it's a one-time code. So now that you have this, so this is how your GitHub will look like. You'll have a dashboard like this. Your first time screen will look like this, but for your case, this side you won't have any repositories since you're a new person. So the first thing you can do is go to this icon this side. Yours will be empty at the moment since you've not yet set up your profile. So you will see profile, repositories, stars, organizations, and so on. I won't go into all that. The most important thing is the profile. So mine is Shakran Nyombi. I took time and set up all these, but for this part, it's a readme file. So it's like your CV on GitHub. Everyone can get to read about you, who you are. If you have a portfolio link is like a website that talks about you. You can also add it there. So you can also add like how you set up basically your LinkedIn profile. At least everyone here at least has heard about LinkedIn. So like how you set up your LinkedIn profile, it works relatively like that, almost similar to that. So yeah, since you've seen that, you can also add you can also get achievements. By the way, when you like achieve something, you can get stars and rewards. Rewards might not be money, but it adds something to your CV, especially if you're a developer. If someone comes to your GitHub maybe and sees your graph is green, you've been building projects and so on. So yeah, for the first time person, a repository is your project. It's like a folder. So you can come here and say I want to create a new repository. So for that new repository, you may call it, so since we are building Kiran Markets, let me not do that, because Google AI Studio can create that for me. I think that's a basic scratch of GitHub. So I know Benjamin is soon to be our GitHub expert. So maybe Benjamin, you could get in touch with that with the person that said they have never interacted with GitHub and have a one-on-one with them. Yeah, but that's like a basic walkthrough of what GitHub is. It's not very jargon like some of the, like maybe let me say GitLab, so it's quite understandable. Okay, so let me close that. Actually, let me not close it because we shall come back to it. So I have here, my thing it's still building, but as it's building, let's go here to settings. So when your thing is building, you'll see here remix. Remix means that if you've built something and you've shared it with people, they can come and re-add something to your app or change it completely. So the capability that gives them that power is the remix. Remix means you share your app. Maybe I've developed my app and I'm going to share it in the chat. Someone can go and just build on top of what I've built, but this time it will be like their own project, not mine. So here, share, on the share part, it helps you be able to share your project out there with other people. So you can add emails. Maybe if you're working in a group, by the way, now this is for people who participate in hackathons. If you're working in a group and you want to see how your ideas are coming about, you can come here and add the emails of your group mates in the restricted form. But if you make your app public, that means anyone with the link can be able to access your application. So in the publish, now for the publish, how should I explain these? For the publish, it makes your app be accessible on the internet by anyone. So for it to be accessible for the internet, you need to create a project on Google Cloud. So we're going to skip that for now and just head to GitHub. So since I've already gone through GitHub, let's create a repository. So you can either create a repository from your GitHub from scratch, but if you're a beginner especially, you can create it from here. So a repo name is the name of the project that you're building. So Kiran Markets is my project. Repository description, a marketing strategy brand. As simple as that. Then in repositories on your GitHub, you can choose to make it private or public. So for the private, it means only the people that you've added to your project can view it. They're the only ones who can access your code. For public, that means anyone out there who comes across your repository or your project can copy the code. Basically, they can even steal your project. So if it's a project that you're really just demonstrating with, it's a hobby project, that's when you can choose public. But if it's something that you see potential in, especially if it's going to earn for you income or something, or if it's even for your client, I would suggest it's best to create a private repository. So I'm going to go ahead and create my repository. So as it's doing that, let's see what GitHub has built. Let's see what Google AI Studio has built. So let's see the full view. Kiran Markets, services, Nova strategy, case studies, process. Okay, so I have basically plain. It has even given me a stimulator. So this is my agent. This is where my agent will work. Then it has also given me full spectrum. Okay, this is not bad, and it has even added for me testimonials, which is not bad. This is good for a start. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to give it my second prompt. So let's see what was in the second prompt if I give it. If you want to map out the CSS structure, give it this. So let's give it this. I think this is this is still really improving the UI. Let me not use that second prompt. Okay, so now that I have this launch audit, I'm going to give it my agent. So let's go back to our agent. Where is it? Our agent code. This is it. Let me paste it in the chat so that you can also see it. So that's the agent prompt. So what we are going to do, we're going to go to our Google AI Studio and say I want to add an agent to my site, and this is its code, and this is its code. So before I even do that, let me first commit what we already have. So since I've set up my GitHub here, oh wow, okay. Marketing strategy, something great. Try again. It already exists. Why can't I see it then? Okay, let's first go to my repositories, see if it exists. So I can come here and see. Okay, and it's here 2 minutes ago, but it's not reflecting this side. So what do we do? Do I want to reload this side? Let me first close and see if I can connect an already made repo. Hide, and I can't. So what we are going to do, we are going to go this side. We're going to go to our repository. Oh wow. Okay, let me try to reload and I see whether it will work. So let me first copy my prompt so that I don't lose it. Then I reload the whole thing. I see if my repository will reflect. If it doesn't, then we just go and delete it and recreate it. So I have this. I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go and check my GitHub again. Perfect, and it has come. Okay, thought I had some questions, and it has come. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to commit. So commit is like pushing your files to GitHub. That means you can access them locally on your PC. If I have time, I'll also show you that. So no changes to commit. Are you sure? Let's see. So let's see our repository if it has everything. Why is it acting like that? It might be my network. But can you guys still see my screen? Just a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. Which means my network is still okay. Why is it acting like that on me? So as it's doing its thing, let me send this prompt. So let's send in that prompt to Go as we figure out why GitHub is acting like that. No changes to commit.
You can just close that GitHub tab and then you go back to Google Studio and then you open the repo.
You know, it pushed, but I want to see whether the changes are reflected because it's showing me
Yes,
nothing
and
to
you
commit.
click that arrow. Then it will take it to the repo.
Okay, thanks Benjamin. So we have that, and we don't have a readme. Wow, it normally creates an automatic readme file. So a readme file is something that talks about your project, just a brief overview for people, especially if your project is private. This can just be the only thing people will see. So we have that, well and good. Now let's see if it's continuing with our agent. So yeah, and that's what AI has built for me. That's what I have. I have that. So let's see what it has added. Where is the agent? Server, Nova. It's telling me the route is API. Integration highlights added the Express endpoint. Okay, that's endpoint stuff. So let's test it out. Let's explore my website. So this is how it looks. I have book a call with founder. So you can fill in and book a call with me at this point. Launch audit. So here you have pre-filled. So this is my agent. It has welcome to Kiran Markets. I'm Nova, your AI marketing strategist. What product or service business are you currently looking for? So you can say maybe you are business to business kind of business, you are health biotech. So let me just say professional services, and I see what the agent will do. Understood. So scaling, dollar. Then it's asking about your position. Let me say market business owners. Then go to target mid markets. So it gives you options. Let me say if I say I want to use TikTok, if it will be able to reply me if it's not pre-filled. So thanks for detailing. Okay, so it works. Yeah, basically that's it. That's how you build a project with Google AI Studio. Then another thing, you can continuously keep refining. Maybe if you want to update your logo, you can now go to your code and come here to maybe, let me say, sources. We have sources where assets. So assets just tell you Google AI Studio. So you can say I want to add a file. So I'm going to go to Gemini and tell it, let's create a logo. Let's create a logo for my site. Here is a distinct logo. Descriptions. let's have the site. Let's see. Are you guys stuck on the same screen? Hello, are you able to hear me? Yes, can you see my screen? Okay. Thank you. So now that we have that, oh wow, okay, so let me tell it, I like this one. I like the modern network. Can I have it alone? I like the modern network. Can I have it alone? The logo only, no words. Nano Banana is very generous with image generation. It's not like ChatGPT. So if you're used to generating images with Chat, you can try out Gemini. And trust me, it will do wonders. Though it cannot give you without background. So however you may download an image, it cannot give you without the background. It does not have that functionality yet, sadly. So I'm going to come here and add a file. So I'm going to upload. Let me select the folder. I'm going to want to add a file. I'm going to upload files, and I'm going to come here to my downloads. I'm going to look for Gemini. And this is it. So I've added my image. I'm going to come here and move it to assets. Then I'm going to go back to preview. So I'm going to tell it I have added my logo. I have added my logo in assets. Please use it as my site's logo. Then I'm going to send that. Then I normally don't like hyphens in my site. There are quite few, but I'm going to tell it to remove the hyphen here. It gives away AI. Even I'm using AI, I don't unfortunately I'm using AI. Like, yeah. But if you like open to that, it's cool. But I don't like hyphens look so cliche on websites. I normally don't like them. So yeah. So I'm going to tell it, please remove the hyphen here. Please remove this hyphen. And I'm going to leave that there. So let's see if it will update my logo. When I'm done with this, we can walk through publishing. It'd be a bit hard since I don't have credits at the moment. So we might not end up using Google AI Studio to publish. I may show you something different called Vercel, which is also a good option for hackathons especially. So yeah, actually, we can use Vercel. Let it first cook. Let me first see if I can push what it had already done before. So it did that. Let's first stage it and commit it before it adds the logo. So that's also an independent commit. So now that it has done that, so as it's doing that, let me show you what Vercel is. So it has updated my logo. Oh, that's quite nice. My logo has also been updated. So let me send that. Then I'm going to tell it, let's prepare my app. I've never tried this, but let me try it for the first time. Let's prepare my app to deploy on okay, I'm not muted, you can hear me. So I'm going to tell it, let's prepare my app to deploy. Deploying means you're publishing your app to be accessible on the internet. So I'm going to say, let's prepare my app Oh, it has removed it. Okay, let's prepare my app to deploy on Vercel. I've never really tried this, but let me see if Go AI Studio can pull it off. If it can, then guys, you're set. You're set for your hackathons. Those bugs that have been disturbing you, deploying, what, you don't have credits. If it does this, you're set. So let's try it and see whether it will work. If it works, guys, you're set. Because Google Cloud kind of disturbs sometimes, but if it can deploy for you on Vercel, yeah, then it's a superpower. So yeah, I'll let it do that. But as it's doing that, I wanted to show you how Vercel looks like. So Vercel, let me see if I can log in with my dev account. What do I use for Vercel? So let me log in here on Vercel. This is how Vercel looks like. They also have their own IDE that you can build with, but for the cases, I'll stick with the Google ecosystem. So I'm going to log in with Google. It's taking a bit long to load. Yes, log in with Google. Kiran. Oh wow, I have factor percentage on everything. I think I do. So okay, I've seen it. So 351 516 enter. Wow. Alright, so since I have that, I have projects I've published before and so on. So now this is how Vercel is. So now that we have that, let me see. Push a commit to Vercel import. Okay, so let me see what it has done in my code. Has it perfect? I now can deploy in Vercel. If this works, guys, if this works, I've never tried it, but if it works, then we are done for hackathons. You can just go and fine-tune the UI and see whether it works. So let's see. Integrations, maybe I might need a Google Calendar. So loading, select cloud projects. Okay, let's skip that because it will now go into credits. So now let's push. Let's stage and commit. So we have seen how to add files. You can easily add your logo. Maybe you've got your logo from any AI you're using. You can easily come to code and upload your logo. We have seen that you can defactor your project to be able to deploy on Vercel, but let's test it before we celebrate whether it can really actually deploy on Vercel. Okay, so it's telling me you might need to add a Gemini API key. I'm going to show you that. So for now, let's go to our Vercel. Let's first see how our project is looking. Is it healthy this side? Okay, I really hate that my readme is empty. Let's update the readme file. So as it's doing that, let's go to Vercel. So since my Vercel is already connected to my GitHub, I can automatically add projects like this, add projects. So when you let me first go to back. When you come to Vercel for the first time, this is how it will look. You see so many things, but this part will be empty. And if you're a new user, it will tell you add project, but if you're someone who has used it before, it will not tell you that. So you can go to add new, then you select project, then you can come and connect your GitHub here. It will show you how to connect your GitHub. very easy to connect. So I'll come and import. So since everything is in the root, I don't need to edit any of these things. Like, it's so easy, even though you've never interacted with anything of this kind. You can just come here and say deploy. So as it's deploying, let's go back this side. So it has updated. Then let me tell it, please also update the logo that shows in my Chrome tab. Now if you're building hackathon projects, sometimes it takes up a default logo here up, and that doesn't look really pretty. So I see how all these sites have their own logos in Chrome. It is always a good thing to make sure your logo is done showing in your Chrome tab. So I'm going to tell it that please update the logo to show in my Chrome tab too. Correct my English. So let me just send that, and let's check our deployment. So it's telling me deployment is ready. Wow, guys, wow. Continue to dashboard. Apologies. Continue to the dashboard, and just like that, I have a site, you guys. So I'm going to, when you come here, you can see this icon I was talking about. So the icon it's showing you here is the icon for your website. So this is my first deployment, as you can see. I'm going to come here. You will see deployment. When you're submitting for your hackathons, never submit this first URL. Submit the second one. Because this one relates now, I've deployed the first time. So if I share this deployment, even though this app the first time had errors, that's what they will see. But if now you deploy the second time, all your updates will always be on this domain. But if you submit this domain in your hackathons, it's a bad thing. So it's always good it's a must, not good, it's a must to always submit the second one here, not the deployment, this one, the domain, the one that actually says domain. So you can come here, and guys, I have my site, it's published, and I can submit this. Isn't this nice? Isn't this so nice? Okay, so as it's doing that, let me go to my Vercel. So Gemini Google AI Studio did tell me to make sure I submit my Gemini API key. So before I do that, let me come here and push. I'm going to come here and stage and commit. So in your Google AI Studio, you have secrets. So my Gemini, my project already has an API key, but this API key was for a different project. So I'm going to say I want to add a different API key. No, delete. Actually, since it's already there, let me just leave it and just show you how to get an API key. So our project is basically done. I'm going to go back this side to our interface. Then there is a key here at the bottom, and you see when I hover over it, it says get API key. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to say create API key. So I'm going to name it Kiran Markets. So if it's your first time to create an API key for Gemini, they might ask you for a project. So you can say create a project, and I'm going to say Kiran Markets as my project, and I'm going to create the project. So I'm going to create current projects. I'm going to create API key. So I have the API key. I'm going to copy it, just like that. You don't need to go to your Google Cloud and you don't need to do that. So I'm going to copy my key, and I'm going to go to Vercel. Then when I come to Vercel, you will see overview, deployment. So you can see that I pushed, since my Vercel is connected to my GitHub. When you push from Google AI Studio, it automatically reflects this side. So you can see that it has also deployed 1 minute ago. Guys, this is so nice. So I have deployments, I have logs, I have analytics, I have observability, but my main point here is environment variables. So environment variables, these are like your secrets. So I'm going to come here and add the value. So you're going to go to your Google AI Studio and see how it was called. You're going to go back to your dashboard. So here you're going to check my apps. In my apps, that's where you'll be able to see your project, and you come back to it. So this is my project. So I'm going to go back this side, and I'm going to go to my secrets. So here in my secrets, you can see how the key was named. I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go back to my Vercel and put the key. So the key is the name, the value is the actual API key, and I'm going to save. Then whenever you add a variable, you can redeploy. So it's going to automatically deploy. Then I can go back here. I can go and view my deployment and see how it's working. So it's telling me 5 seconds to deploy. So I'm also going to go to my GitHub and see whether my README file was updated. And also my README file was updated. Just like that, I have something judges can read. They can read about my project structure. Guys, this is nice. Can read about my project structure, what they can see my keys. And at first, Google AI Studio used to put its banner, but even the banner right now is not even there. So they can't even know that you used AI. Then since also my project is connected to Vercel, the key automatically adds itself. I mean, the link to the website adds itself. So suppose you've forgotten to submit which can never happen, but in case it happens that you've forgotten to submit a public link to your website and you only submitted the repository link, you can get the repository link by coming here to code, and you copy this. That is what you submit for your hackathons. Then you have this one, Kiran Market, Vercel. And just like that, I've not gone to any IDE. I've not coded myself. I have a deployed site. I didn't have to go to Google Cloud to get the site. And I have my site, and it's here. Let's see if my logo updated. And I have my site. My logo is not showing very well, but we shall fix that. So yeah, so let's check why our logo is not showing, because why is it not showing? So let's come to assets and check whether our image is actually showing. And our image is showing, it has no error. So let's debug, why is our image not showing? So let me tell AI Studio. Let me tell it my logo image is not showing.
Hey, Kiran, your time is running short. Could you please summarize?
So I can also give it my URL, since it can be able to do web search. You can just give it your URL, and hopefully it can be able to check out your site. So we can see from here if it's going to be able to read my site. Because here I can see my logo, but when I go to the deployed site, why is it that I can't see my logo? It's showing this, which is not good. So let's see what it tells me. Clarifying build process, working on it. But anyway, guys, I think that's okay. So basically that's it. That's how you build a site, and that's how you what? That's how you publish it on GitHub. So let's proceed to sharing the slides again. I've shared the link to the website, so if you want to check it out, please you can. So this was the initial project that I had planned to build. I'll also share its prompt in the chat, just in case you want to try it out. But yeah, so I think the next thing here is Q&A. So you've seen how we have published a site. Let's have some Q&A.
If you want.
Are there any questions?
Are there people with questions?
Benji,
You can,
are there any questions?
are there any questions?
Jay, I can't
Are there
hear
any
you.
questions?
Okay, I'll hand over to Jay then, or Benjamin, the moderator. I'll hand over to the moderator of the session if there are no questions at the moment. Thank you so much, guys, for the great audience and the patience. You've been amazing. So in case you want to get in touch with me, let me just drop my portfolio in the chat. No, let me drop my LinkedIn. Actually, let me just drop my portfolio, because my portfolio has all resources there. So in case you want to get in touch.
Okay, thank you very much, Shakiran, for this session.
Thank you too.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shakiran, for that really active session. I believe I've also learned a thing or two that I will implement. I've been having struggles, and I saw how you managed to maneuver it. And now see that it's important to have these collaborative sessions, because it's something that you might interface, and you can actually solve it when you team up with a couple of people. And yeah, I am walking away with something that I will definitely implement tonight, most probably. Otherwise, thank you very much for honoring our invite and being part of this organization and part of this series. I believe we all have something we've learned from it. At the end of it all, we are going to compile all the data, the videos, the links to all the sessions that we've been having and share them across. So, for me, I believe in the future, the start of all the semesters, we shall be having physical sessions, and I hope to see each one of you all. If you get to interface with the flyers, please come through and we connect, network, and build together. For now, from me, that's all. Let me invite Benjamin to say a thing or two in a minute and wrap this up. Otherwise, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. Benjamin, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Shakiran. I believe at least we have all left this session and at least know how to build solutions.